Do you want to fondle this?
I'll fondle that.
You normally fondle it.
I'll fondle the album. Hello and welcome to In the Court of the Wenton King. We're doing something today.
We're doing Coda.
Coda. This is the album Coda by Led Zeppelin.
This is basically the last one we're going to do in it.
Yeah, the last studio album, sort of. It's a studio album of outtakes, bits and pieces, posthumously.
Yeah. And it's called Coda because, you know, that means the end of music.
Yeah, it's the end of the music. Of course, you're talking about one of the best bands of all time, some of the most fantastic rock songs of all time, but they used up all their best outtakes on Physical Graffiti. So it is apparent there's not a lot left. And obviously, Presence, after Physical Graffiti, didn't have much on it. You know, it was done in 2 weeks, so they must have used everything they had. So, in a way, they've only got stuff left from In Through the Outdoor. There's a couple of things left off it. One is a song called Baby Coming Home from Led Zeppelin 1, which was lost at this point and wasn't found until the 90s. The other thing is the B-side to Immigrant Song, which was Hey Hey What Can I Do, which is a fantastic song, and I think this would have benefited from having that song on it. But I think as it was already out, it was decided not to include it.
I would have put it on anyway because it's quite short.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And you could do with a couple more tracks.
Maybe at that point it was unfashionable. I mean, we're talking '82, so it's you know, it's the age of new romantics and MTV and crap.
Jimmy Page has said that there's a lot of interest in bootlegs and stuff like that. It was to cater for that. Okay, so
the first song,
track 1.
We're Gonna Groove. It's a cover version, and it grooves. It's ace. It's fantastic. It's actually from the Albator famous DVD with loads of overdubs. I think the real live version is a bit more energetic actually, but great funky song. What's really interesting is how I think it's kind of from around Led Zeppelin 2, but that opened the show, so in a way Immigrant Song replaced it. I think this would have suited Led Zeppelin 3 much better than Immigrant Song. It fits the album much better, whereas Immigrant Song doesn't really fit on Led Zeppelin 3. Obviously Immigrant Song is it's
an iconic almost.
Yeah, an iconic seminal work, but it is kind of cartoon Led Zeppelin, whereas this is a funky jam. They've done quite a few cover versions, certainly in their early days. Live they played loads in the big medleys of Whole Lot of Love and Communication Breakdown, but they did a few more for the BBC, but they didn't include those on this because they belonged to the BBC at that point. Most notably Travelling Riverside Blues, which is a fantastic version.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a good song.
It's short. It's a short cover, done Led Zeppelin style.
Yeah.
So, you know, thumbs up.
This is good. The next song
is Poor Tom.
Poor Tom from Led Zeppelin 3. For me, this is the highlight of the album because this will be good enough to go on Led Zeppelin 3. So it's a great song.
I'm gonna disagree slightly with you there, Kev. A nice point of controversy. Not a great deal. It is good, but I can see why it didn't make it onto Led Zeppelin 3. It feels a little bit like a work in progress. So there's lots of interesting ideas in there. It's a bit mashed together in the sense you've got a lot of stuff going on at one point. Whereas if they teased it out a little bit, I think it would work a little bit better.
It does sound like a jam, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it does sound like when they were recording it, it wasn't the final version.
Yeah.
Next song.
I Can't Quit You, Baby.
Yeah, live version. Just a live version of I Can't Quit You, Baby, which is from Led Zeppelin 1. It's better than the album version because it's a live version. They played it for about a year at that point. It's good, pretty redundant, and just shows that they didn't really have much material to make an album out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, great. Why not?
A good version of a good bluesy song.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all you can say about that.
Yeah. Dun, dun. Walter's Walk.
Walter's Walk. Okay, this came from 1972. It was part of the jam in the middle of Dazed and Confused. It was one of the extra sections in Dazed and Confused. There was another section added a year later, which is the San Francisco lyrics bit. That ended up on Achilles' Last Stand. So it is listed as coming from 1972. I think the drums are definitely from 1972. The drums sound like they're from Houses of the Holy to me. I'll tell you what, the vocals are not from 1972. That is not Robert Plant in 1972.
Well, the vocals sound like he's singing in a box in the bathroom.
Yeah.
They sound really, really off-putting.
It's a horrible song, isn't it?
It is. It's
Yeah. So it doesn't matter when the vocals were recorded because it's
but
foul.
It's a go to the toilet song. Definitely.
It's a plug your ears song. I think it's horrible.
Yeah.
I think they didn't list it as being recorded in, maybe in '79 for In Through the Outdoor, because it sounds like Plant from In Through the Outdoor period. And maybe they're hiding the fact that 50% of the album is from In Through the Outdoor.
Could be.
However, my gut tells me this was from '82. I think they had the backing track, they didn't have the vocals, and I think Plant did them specifically for this album. I think that's Plant in '82. All we know is it's supposed to be from '72.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter because it's horrible.
Yeah. Don't expect too much from that one.
Yeah.
Ozone Baby?
Ozone Baby, right, this is a song definitely from In Through the Outdoor period, not used on the album In Through the Outdoor. It's these songs which suggest where they were going after In Through the Outdoor. Page and Bonham were saying about how they were going to do a more rocking record.
Yeah.
This is the only evidence we've got of what that was going to be like. And it's a kind of, there's a new wavy thing to it. You've got Plant doing his sort of rockabilly Elvis impersonation, club style singing. Ooh. It's like a really bad Stone song.
Stones, man.
I really hate it. It's, you realise at this point that what they're doing is they're trying to make you sick.
It's weird because sort of when I'm listening to it, I'm getting a Beatles vibe from it, and it is that ooh bit.
Oh, because it's got ooh in it.
Yeah. And it's sort of, I mean, to say it's like a Beatles song,
Yeah.
playing the Beatles.
Yeah.
But it's got that sort of simplistic kind of thing. It's definitely heavier than a Beatles song, but it's that structure almost feels Beatles-like to me. So it's pretty asinine.
Yeah. One of my least favourite Led Zeppelin songs in the catalogue. More on that in a minute.
There's like a guitar solo at the end,
which is awful.
and it's terrible. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Again, it may have been recorded for this because this sounds like he hasn't been playing a guitar for 2 years, which would be true.
But what about Darlene?
Darlene. Now, Darlene, this is significant because during the recording of In Through the Outdoor, Robert Plant was going through a lot of stuff, and he was having premonitions of the future from the 80s, and he actually saw the future, and basically he just sung what he heard. Sadly, he misheard what was going on. He actually heard something from a TV sitcom from the 1980s, which was yet to be aired, and it was from the sitcom Only Fools and Horses, which was a character in it called Boycie, who talking about his wife. He'd always say Marlene, and that's what he sings. So the song's called Darlene because he must have heard. He thought it was Darlene. He doesn't sing Darlene, no, he sings Darlene, like Boycie. And not being from London, that would be the only explanation for him singing in that weird voice.
I mean, regardless of that, I actually quite like it. It's a pretty exciting blues song.
Yeah, well, it's weird because I've actually listened to this week, and I haven't heard it for 15 years. In my mind, Ozone Baby and Darlene were garbage. I really like this. It's got a swing to it. It's like a shuffle. There's like sort of our rhythm and blues R&B thing, maybe Billy Joel kind of thing, maybe that kind of thing. If that was the direction they were going to go in, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you want from this kind of thing because it's a real great B-side. It's like a really good B-side, isn't it?
Yeah. You can see why it didn't make it onto an album.
Yeah.
But it's
fun. It's nothing special, but it's fun.
Yeah. That takes us on to Bonzo's Montreaux.
Bonzo's Montreaux. Right, this is some drumming which was recorded during the Presence period. It's not even a drum solo, it's just some drumming, and Jimmy Page had put some horrible electronic sounds on it to make you sick. This is, if this can even be counted as a Led Zeppelin album track, it is the worst Led Zeppelin album track by that much.
I mean, you can sort of see how much they were struggling for material.
Yeah, this really shows.
It's not a particularly brilliant drum solo. It's interesting the first time you listen to it, but you'd never ever go and listen to it again. You'd sort of...
And it ends and you think...
It's the kind of thing that sort of like someone who's not heard it before, you go, oh, I listen to this. What do you think of this sort of thing?
Yeah.
And that's it. You don't sort of, I'll skip to Bonzo's Montreux. I'll tell you what it is for me. It's when I put the album on and listen to it, I know I'm near the end of the album. I'm always going, that's Bonzo's Montreux, near the end now.
Yeah,
Bloody hell, I come around quick.
The horrible electronic sounds Page actually used in his guitar solo in '77. Horrible. Horrible sounds to make you sick.
I suppose, taking in the context that John Bonham had died 2 years earlier, you can kind of see why something went.
It needed,
like
yeah.
that.
Towards the end of the album, like that.
Yeah.
But compare this to Moby Dick. It makes Moby Dick sound like Ring Cycle. It's just nothing. It's not even a song. You can't really even call it a track.
That leads us on to the last track of the album. That's our review.
Wearing and Tearing. Now, this is the third official song officially from Into the Outdoor. Yeah, so it's that same style of maybe where Led Zeppelin go on the next album, which is a rock and roll-y. I think you could compare it to Candy Store Rock as well.
Yeah.
But there's a sort of new wavy thing to it. This song, you could almost argue, so I think some people would actually say this is Led Zeppelin answering punk and doing a punk thing, but I don't really care. It's just a good song.
Yeah.
It's fast, it's intense, it transcends all that. I don't care if it sounds new wavy or anything I don't like. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a great song. Page and Plant played it at Nebworth in 1990, I think, to draw attention to it, because it's a great song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it ends it on a good note. And I think overall Coda, it's not as bad as I thought it was. Listening to it after like 15 years, it's all right.
Yeah.
Some
Wow.
good bits and pieces. Considering they didn't have much left, it's not that bad. You've got two brilliant tracks at the start. You've got Wearing and Tearing. Darlene's lots of fun as well. That's all right.
Yeah. There's no epic on there.
No, there's nothing left.
I don't necessarily agree that this is canon.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, it is, although it's original material, apart from I Can't Quit You Babe, which is a cover of your own song.
And Working Groove is good.
It wasn't. See, Led Zeppelin 2 or any of the other albums, they are sort of like an act of creation, yeah?
Yeah.
They are creating an album. Now, although there was constraints on that they had, contractual obligations and stuff like that. This isn't that. This is a collection of stuff they had left over, so there's no real intention of where they were going or direction or something like that.
Yeah.
It was sort of stuff that was being developed over.
It's not an album.
In through the end. It's not an album in that sort. So I wouldn't include that in the canon. Now we've sort of agreed we weren't going to do live albums.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of dubious whether we should have done this one really, because of that. I mean, it's been done for a couple of reasons: contractual obligations and a bit of an opportunism.
Yes. So, what's your favourite two Led Zeppelin albums?
Physical Graffiti. Physical Graffiti. Simply, I mean, that is my favourite album simply because.
There's something definitive.
Yeah.
About it, isn't there?
It's interesting and it's good to listen to. There are peaks and troughs, and there's some absolutely brilliant songs on there. Presence, it may be getting there because it was a pleasant surprise for me.
You didn't expect it to be good.
I didn't expect it to be that good. But Led 3 has got Since I've Been Loving You on it.
Yeah. But I can safely say Presence is my favourite.
Yeah.
But it will be Physical Graffiti or 3.
But it's been we've had a bit of a meeting, haven't we?
We have had a meeting and we've decided what the best Led Zeppelin songs are, the best 10 Led Zeppelin songs.
And we decided we needed 11 songs.
Yeah, goes up to 11, so Stairway to Heaven is 11.
Yeah.
Blah.
In My Time of Dying.
Yes.
What next
Wow. I choose Achilles' Last Stand.
I'm going to go with Since I've Been Loving You.
That's the way.
Dazed and Confused.
I choose In the Light.
Gallows Pole.
Nobody's Fault of Mine.
And then I'm going to go Bring It On Home.
And No Quarter. What a list! What a list! Right, thanks for listening to our Led Zeppelin reviews. We'll be back next week though with a new band. It's a surprise band. I couldn't guess who that would be. Who would that be? Couldn't imagine. Could you imagine? So we'd like to finish on a song.